So let's say we're taking the cosine of 15 degrees. That's not a unit circle, so you have to find a way of doing it. If we're not using addition or subtraction, we can use half angles. Because the cosine of 15 is the cosine of 1/2 of 30 degrees. So, using the formula, in what quadrant is 15 degrees? 1. 15 degrees is in quadrant 1, so is it positive or negative in quadrant 1, cosine? Positive. So we're going to use the square root. You don't put the plus or minus in front of it. That's just for the formula saying it can be positive or negative depending on what quadrant we're in. But since we're in quadrant 1, it's positive, so we know that. So we go 1 plus the cosine of my angle, the new angle, 30 degrees, all over 2. Correct? And what's the cosine of 30 degrees? So it's 1 plus the square root of 3 over 2 all over 2. Ooh, it looks like I have a complex fraction. How do I get rid of a complex fraction? Multiply it by the denominator of the denominator. The denominator doesn't have a denominator in. So the denominator and the numerator is 2, so I'll multiply both the numerator and denominator by 2. So I'm going to get the square root of 2 plus the square root of 3 all over 4. Because the square root of 3 over 2 is the square root of 3. And 2 times 1 is 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. Now, what do we got going on? Well, we got a complex radical. Because we got a radical inside a radical. But guess what? You're allowed to have a complex radical. But you're not allowed to have a fraction inside a radical. Because it's like having a radical in the denominator. And there we go. We took care of that square root of 4 on the bottom because we took the square root of 4, which is 2. And we leave the square root in the numerator because there can't be reducing that at all. So it's the square root of 2 plus the square root of 3 all over 2. And there we go. Good work, people. The sine of 165 degrees is the same as the sine of 2 times what? Or a half of what? A half of what is 165? 330 degrees. Now, where is 165? What quadrant? 2. Is sine positive or negative in the second quadrant? Positive. So we just have a positive square root. Don't have to worry about a negative here. So it's 1 minus the cosine of 330 degrees over 2. We always use cosine with this formula, with sine and cosine. What's the cosine of 330 degrees? So it's just like the last problem. Multiply top and bottom by 2. And you get the square root of 2 minus the square root of 3 all over 4, square root of 4, which is so the sine of 165 is the same as the cosine of 15. Imagine that. Are they all going to be the same? No, they will not be. The sine of 3 pi over 8. The sine of 3 pi over 8. What quadrant is 3 pi over 8 in? Wrong. 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 1. Why is it in quadrant 1? Well, what's 4 pi over 8 the same as? What's 4 over 8? 1/2. So that's like pi over 2. So if 3 pi over 8 is smaller than pi over 2, it must be in quadrant 1. Okay. Jeez. Mr. Biersbach using logic to figure something out? Yeah. What? 1/2 of what is 3 pi over 8? 1/2 times what would be 3 pi over 8? 3 pi over 4. Because 1 times 3 pi is 3 pi, 2 times 4 is 8. So 1/2 of 3 pi over 4 is 3 pi over 8. So you use the square root of 1 minus the cosine of 3 pi over 4 all over 2. What's the cosine of 3 pi over 4? Negative square root of 2 over 2. I'll let some of you catch up. Let your brains catch up to this. Before we multiply by 2, what should we do? Because we have minus a negative, so we go plus a positive. Then we'll multiply by 2. So we get the square root of 2 plus the square root of 2 all over 2. I skipped a step. 4 is on the bottom, and the square root of 4 is 2, so I just skipped that step. All right. Hey, I skipped a step. All right. So we're good on sines and cosines then with this, right? Tangent of 75 degrees is the same as the tangent of 1/2 of what? 150. All right. So which tangent formula should we use? I like to use the very last one I gave you. What's the very last one I gave you? 1 minus the cosine of 150 over the sine of 150. What's the cosine of 150? Negative square root of 3 over 2. What's the sine of 150? 1/2.
Multiply by the denominator.
Before you do that, plus a positive. Then multiply by the denominator of the denominator. So you get 2 plus the square root of 3 over 1. So I'm going to skip a step. Well, cray. Yeah. Yeah, I am.
I'm going to go back.
I guess it is now. All right, page 193. 9 through 17, the odds. Another 5 problems. Okay, so what we have in front of us? Remember, Tuesday, your semester projects are due. Some of you have done very little on those.
Don't even look at me. I got the whole front page done.
All right.
I wrote my name on it.
And so you have that to work on. We will review for our test tomorrow and hand out a review sheet. The test isn't until Thursday, so you don't have to spend too much time yet on that. But those of you who basically get your semester project done, you can like use Tuesday as a review day or whatever. So Tuesday will be kind of a wide open study hall day. You can work on your semester project or work on your review for chapter 3. And then Thursday, we'll do some last minute reviewing and take that test.
I have no motivation. No motivation. No minutes. I'm working on my other final.
And that Thursday, we'll have another track meet. Thursday the 11th, when we take the chapter test.
Why would you plan it for that?
Or should we make Thursday a study day also and make Friday the day of the test?
Yeah. I like that idea.
Because that Friday the 12th, oh, yeah, there's 16 questions on the test, so some of you might take a little while on it.
You're right.
Yeah, let's do it Thursday, and then we'll just figure out times for you guys to come in and take it. Yes, Delaney.
Wow.